Many of you know that in the past I covered Ranty Flat Earth a lot. At the time he was a flat earther and it was perfectly acceptable for him to receive a critique from me. Now, in a shocking twist of fate, Ranty is here as a guest content creator for Flat Earth Friday. Being one of the most well-known flat earthers to defect and rejoin reality, Ranty puts out content from an extremely unique perspective, which is obviously a position of understanding regarding the flat earth community. Today, he's explaining that unique perspective. Take it away, mate.
Thank you, Dan, and can I just say what an absolute honour it is today to be presenting your Flat Earth Friday show for the very first time. Hopefully not the last, we shall see. Anyway, many of you people may know me already in the community. I used to go by the name of Ranty Flat Earth. That's right, for about 5 years I was a flat earther, and of course all that changed last year when an image popped up in my feed on Facebook. I did some analysis on it. Turns out that we don't live on a flat earth, we actually live on a globe. Anyway, I'm here today to talk to you a little about flat earth and what goes on inside the community. So, let's get into this. Here we go. So a couple of months ago, when Dan first asked me to do a video for his Flat Earth Friday show, I decided to ask my subscribers what they would like me to do and what they would feel that Dan's audience would love to see. And here is the results of the poll. Now, I did think about doing the debunks, but honestly, they are so frequent now that I thought, well, you might not see any value in them. So I decided to run with the associated dangers of flat earth on mental health and lifestyle. Now, on my new channel, which I only started because of the sheer lack of honesty inside the flat earth community, as for my reasons coming back to the globe, well, you can find all kinds of unique content there. I'm a comedian at heart, and you may find me talking to my twin Ranty, who is still a flat earther, or using Flurf kitchen science, or actually doing some great debunks of the so-called flat earth proofs. Having come from the flat earth perspective, I know all of their arguments, all of their pitfalls, and all of their tricks, so I know how to pull them apart rather easily. I also know all the so-called faces inside of flat earth, and know so much about what goes on behind the scenes, and I talk about that a lot. So if you're interested in any of that content, please head on over and subscribe. I think you might enjoy the uniqueness of the content. Anyway, back to today's video, and I'll try to give you as much information in the time afforded here today, and hopefully by the end of it, you might have learnt something interesting. So, let me first ask you, if somebody you knew came up to you and said they were a flat earther, what is the thing that you would think of when they said that? Take a few moments to think, then write the answer in the comments below. So, John comes up to you and says he is a flat earther. What is your immediate thought? I think most of you will answer that they believe that the earth is a flat disc with a dome over it. Now, I could be wrong, but let's run with that answer. Now, you have to decide if they actually know themselves what a flat earther is. And for the longest time, I didn't even know that myself. What is a flat earther? Is it someone who just believes the earth is flat? Well, that's what I thought it was, and that is why I called myself Ranty Flat Earth. You see, from my perspective at least, down at the beach and the shoreline in Blackpool, I could see far further than I thought possible on a globe.
From an elevation of 6 feet, close to 19 miles, we are seeing shore to shore.
So the possibility of the earth being flat, to me at least at the time, seemed far more reasonable than it being a globe. But then that answer gets you thinking, how on earth anyone can consider that the earth is flat? And that, I believe, is one of the biggest WTF moments globers have with flat earthers. Just because you see too far, you're now going to claim that the earth is flat. It's beyond most people's comprehension how that can even happen. But nobody wakes up one day and just thinks, hey, I'm going to be a flat earther today. That process is something that takes a long time to happen, and often involves many other conspiracies along the way. You will often hear flat earthers talk about things such as the 9/11 incident, or chemtrails, or 5G, or free energy, or Nibiru, to just name a few. These will be conspiracies that they have looked into, and often from the perspective of there actually being a conspiracy involved. And in their minds, behind all these conspiracies, there is a deep, dark secret that a small group of people who control the world are trying to hide it from the masses. For instance, if you believe the 9/11 conspiracy, you would essentially be believing that the government, the US government, had a hand in that event. But you wouldn't really know why or the end goal of that event. You could speculate, of course, and sometimes that would then lead you into another route to investigate, or another conspiracy to unmask. And there is no end to people willing to make content for views and popularity.
6 months ago, he said it looks like it may be depopulation. He said now there is no doubt this is depopulation.
To a conspiracy theorist, any event published by mainstream media is fair game and can be pulled apart in the most insidious of ways possible to make the simple reposting of a tragic event something much more sinister and much darker. And having been pre-exposed to other conspiracies in the past, someone who is in that community is far more likely to be persuaded by the sinister story that probably emanated from some lunatic living in his mother's basement.
Look at Rose. Look at Jaren. Look at deep inside the rabbit's butthole.
But that narrative will permeate throughout the community, and others will regurgitate that narrative, and soon that now so-called proof will become reality in the conspiracy theorist's mind, and added to the list of other conspiracies that all seem to link back to the elites in some way. In the minds of the conspiracy theorist, the justification for all of these events needs an end goal, some bigger purpose, a reason as to why they are being perpetrated. The media is seen as the enemy and the mouthpiece of the elites, and the reporters are bought and paid agents and will create stories to hide the agendas of the elites. Nothing from the mainstream media can therefore be believed, and so the question remains, why? And Flat Earth fills that burning question, because the Flat Earth is a battle between creation and evolution, between good and evil, between God and the devil and his minions. Now, if this is pushed out to the conspiracy theorist in the right way, then anything is believable. Suddenly, you have some obscure references to some passages in the Bible that could be interpreted as suggesting a flat earth, and that is pushed as the word of God. Then you have all the ingredients for someone becoming a flat earther. For my own part, I followed the conspiracy trail just as I described. I watched all the videos and I listened to all the famous conspiracy nutcases out there, and I bought into it. However, not everything that was pushed to me I believed, but the idea that some events might be linked, I did. And I was at a time in my life when I was actually pretty susceptible to this type of brainwashing. Luckily, I never went full nutcase, although I certainly fell hard for the flat earth idea. I was consumed with the idea that we see too far, and yet I never stopped looking for proof. And this is, looking back at least, why I never really was a true flat earther, much as I hated that suggestion by some in the community that I was not. You see, I thought I was a flurf. I believed the earth was flat. So surely that makes me a flat earther, right? Well, wrong. Not at all. Not even close. In fact, I dare say that a proportion of people who still class themselves as flat earthers don't even understand what a flat earther is. And that is why I asked you all before about that.
Right, okay guys, listen, I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I've seen a lot of back and forth there in the chat. Ultimately, you know, this is, I guess you'll resolve this in the next couple of months. We'll see whether or not these predictions are true. If there's any grain of information there that you want to take away, by all means do your own research, and if you feel that you need to actually prepare yourself a little like this, Hey, what's it going to cost you? A few quid? You never know, it may save your life.
You see, a true flat earther doesn't need to prove the shape of the earth. They just know it. They have a belief. And actually to them, they just know it is and don't need the evidence to convince them. Which is why, to a true flat earther, research is not required. And to a true flat earther, the amount of time thinking about the shape of the earth is almost non-existent. To the true flat earther, the war is not about the shape of the earth. It is about uncovering, understanding, and pushing out the other conspiracies that they see as affecting our everyday lives. A true flat earther is anti-science, is anti-mainstream in every aspect of their lives. They live by the code that everything we think is real is in fact not real, and that we are living in something akin to the Matrix. A true flat earther rejects models. They hate the AE map, vehemently hate it, as they know it is a broken map which simply does not work. And yet, there are people happy to push that map around and be ridiculed on mainstream television. That is why people like Bob Nodell, Jeranism, DITRH, and Mark Sargent are not seen as true flat earthers. The fact that they get into bed with the mainstream media and will push the AE map around whilst performing tests that prove a globe is almost too much for the true flat earthers to take, which is why there is a huge war between the true flat earther and those seen as shills or fake flat earthers.
But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15-degree-per-hour drift.
Thanks, Bob.
If you're seeing through this hole, through the next hole, and seeing the light at the backboard, or at 17 feet off the water, the Earth is flat. If he's holding it up at 23 feet high and we're seeing the light, well, that's because the Earth's curved. Enrique, how high is your light?
17 feet.
I mean, it's as, we don't see you, Enrique. Lift up your light way above your head. Interesting.
You rarely, if ever, will hear those aforementioned full Earth leaders talk about other conspiracies. And again, this is something that a true flat earther would be pushing. So why do these not? And the simple reason is that they are not true flat earthers. They are the ones who, like me, wanted to see if the earth was flat. But whereas I was happy to have my mind changed, it seems that they have too much skin in the game to do the same. They are globe skeptics at best, and not a true flat earther. A flat earther would quite literally die for their beliefs. In the past 2 years, Flat Earth has lost Sheeps and Neeps, Rob Skiba, Antonio Subirats, Jibby Jedi, and Flat Earth Fokker. And all of them, in my opinion, died because of their distrust of the mainstream science and medication. They wanted to try alternative medicines or reject the advice from people who were far more educated in medicine than they were in favour of untested and wackadoodle therapies. They bet their lives that they knew better, and they paid the ultimate price because of it. Also, the factions inside of the Flat Earth are just as crazy, each of them with their own beliefs and agendas, but of course that can be for another video. As for now, be assured that simply believing the Earth is flat doesn't make you a flat earther, far from it. You have to have taken a drink from every conspiracy as you fell down the rabbit hole, and then go full auto hoax, and then you might consider yourself to be a true flat earther. Lastly, I just want to say that those affected by conspiracies are not all like the faces you see pushing out those narratives. Often those affected are struggling with some form of mental health condition, something that affected and still affects me. They may also be outcasts in the community, or people who shun the outside world and find it difficult to mingle with people day to day. They may be alone and suffering from bereavement. They may have some illness that affects their ability to socialise. They could be suffering from depression or feelings of anxiety, yet long for some kind of friendship and communities. And Flat Earth offers that to them. It gives people the ability to be whoever they want to be. They can think whatever they want to think, and others will join in their fantasies. They can fantasize about thousands of continents on an endless plane, or some form of looping model that brings back the sun and moon across the plane. They can be teachers, scientists.
This is an egg. This is a parts per million counter.
They can be explorers or researchers.
Notice the angle is a right angle. Look at that vertex. This can only happen with straight right angles.
And they can have interactions with people day in, day out who are happy to engage in communication with them. These are the people affected by these conspiracies, and these are the ones paying the price for the egos of a few people filling their heads with nonsense in order to fill their pockets with coin. Nathan Oakley is a YouTuber who produces flat earth content. He is not a flat earther. Bob Nodell and Jeranism are YouTubers who produce flat earth content and actively prove the globe regularly. Yet they sell the AE map and products to a community of people who are easily led. These people prey on the misfortune of others in order to profit from it and to keep people locked in a cycle of mistrust and despair. I aim to change that with my new channel. I aim to go after all the conspiracies that others fall for, to break them down from the perspective of someone who actually researched them in the past. I aim to use my knowledge of the cult leaders to chip away at their influence and bring back as many people from the isolation that the flat earth belief makes people endure. I think the debunking community as a whole does a fantastic job, and we need this valuable resource to counter the damage that can be done by believing such nonsense. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. For me, I really enjoyed the opportunity to be here and give you a little insight as to what it's like to be a flat earther and all the pitfalls that you end up going through to actually end up on flat earth. It isn't just as easy as believing that the earth is flat, right? And I know I've been very broad in this entire video, and a lot of people may feel put out because they may feel to themselves, hey, you've put me in one camp or another and I wasn't in that camp ever. But I think for a very broad generalization of what it's like to be a flat earther, I think this video does a good introduction to that. So on my channel coming up, there'll be plenty of more stuff like this. I will be debunking all those conspiracies that led me down the path to being a flat earther. I also have plenty of content out there already, which is debunking flat earth stuff. I also do a lot of comedy. There's a lot of comedy over there. So if you like a good laugh, please go over, check out some of my videos. And if you do feel like hitting that subscribe button, I really would appreciate it. Now, I want to say to the Globe Earth community who welcomed me back with open arms, thank you so much. It's been really enjoyable. And I want to say again to Dan, thank you so much for inviting me here today to talk to your audience about this. It really, really does mean a lot to me. So thank you.